GP Belgium brings us to the halfway point in the 2019 FIM Trial World Championship. With a few days out on the road between last weekend's Dutch Grand Prix and just 300 kilometres south to the venue for round 4, it's a demanding back-to-back schedule for the competitors. Belgium is steeped in trials history, having been the first ever host country of official international competition and a part of the inaugural World Championship campaign in 1975. Plenty has changed since then, including the host town, but the country remains a must-visit destination and a popular location with riders past and present. Belgium, as I always say, is a small country in terms of its dimensions, but a great one in terms of trials. When the sport came over from England, it was immediately established here quite some time ago. Then some brilliant Belgian riders were developed who competed at a very high level. And even today, Belgium continues to prove itself a world-class organisation for hosting trials. And of course, it's well located right in the centre of Europe. For a real trials fan, riding in Belgium is really important, and winning here is even better. It's an authentic trials location where there's been a great fan base for many years, and I have some great memories here. When it rains especially, it becomes a genuine outdoor challenge with steep climbs and plenty of mud, but for me it's always a great round. Staged for over 20 years in nearby Bilstein, Trial GP Belgium has found a new spiritual home in recent years, and the uniqueness of host town Comblain has only added to the value of this special round. Comblain is an unusual situation. It was the first time that we'd organised an event right in the centre of a village. Really is a very small town. As such, it has a very different atmosphere. Some refer to it as the Monaco of trials because it's very compact. The nearby traders have to make special arrangements. And yet, there are some really beautiful sections. So there's a combination of various factors that have made it a real success. It's a very nice, unique event. With 4 trials under their belts and 4 still remaining, the build-up to the Belgian Grand Prix was the perfect moment for the riders to take stock of the 2019 series so far, whilst planning an important visit to Comblain. Already, clear divisions in the standings had emerged. 14 points between the top 2 and a gap of 13 points to the next rider means the battle for third position is the most close-fought duel among the medal positions. With veterans out in front, the youngsters are all chasing 6th position overall, held by Jaime Busto ahead of perennial rival Franz Kadlec. The German's 4 consecutive top 10 finishes puts him 4 points clear of his nearest rival from 7th in the standings, but with Jorge Casales, Benoit Bincaz and Mikel Gelabert all close behind. The absence of Andrea Riva and the unexpected mid-season retirement of Oriol Nogueira reduces the field to 13 riders for Trial GP Belgium. Tony Beau arrives unbeaten in 2019 with a 14-point lead over his nearest rival, Adam Raga. The 2 lowest scoring sessions of 2019 so far provided a close-fought qualifying and threw up a few surprises. 2 riders, for example, were unable to clean the section at either attempt. Jack Price was left 12th with 3 marks, but an even bigger name, Takisa Fujinami, was left last after 2 fiascos. The Japanese veteran is still yet to make it higher than 10th in any 2019 qualifying. Franz Kadlec also suffered his worst result of the campaign to date, as he failed at the 2nd attempt and was forced to rely on his Q1 time, somewhat off the pace, over 4 seconds slower than the lowest of the top 10. 8 riders were covered by less than 2 seconds from 3rd to 10th, but 2 riders stood out from the rest of the pack. James Daville claimed 2nd, and with it a 3rd consecutive top 5 qualifying result, 2 seconds clear of his nearest rival Jaime Busto in 3rd. Tony Beau saved the best until last, his Q1 time already guaranteeing him 2nd position behind James Daville, the reigning world champion claiming his 2nd pole of the campaign at the Brits' expense by a margin of almost 3 seconds. Arnaud Faré and Jack Price both put in their best qualifying performances of the season so far. Meanwhile, James Daville and Benoit Bincaz both excel, with Japan pole sitter Adam Raga down in 5th. As As well as the world-class riders leading the standings, the Trial E-Cup benefits from the inclusion of 3 different manufacturers, including the world-renowned Yamaha brand. Their presence demonstrates the value of electric competition for the world's leading manufacturers and the growing interest in Trial E. Yamaha are very interested in all types of electric bikes for the future, everything from scooters to road racing, and to applying these technologies across their range. Yamaha's factory rider Kuriyama has represented their colours in Japan for over a decade, but it was in the Trial E-Cup last season that he came closest to achieving success with the manufacturer. Trailing Albert Cabastan leaving the Netherlands in 2019, the Japanese veteran nonetheless remained upbeat, remembering how his own win last season was overturned as he was relegated to second in the final 2018 reckoning. Last year I won the French Grand Prix, but then when I needed to win in Belgium, I couldn't beat Loris Goubion because of the pressure and really just having a bad day. Now I hope to get revenge this year. Kuriyama battled from start to finish in Belgium, a run of 7 consecutive cleans to complete the opening lap, keeping him in contention. He eventually succumbed, recording 4 fiascos in total and a 34-mark score. After a clean in the Netherlands a week ago, meanwhile, Albert Cabastan found the going somewhat tougher this time out, conceding 12 marks in total, and unlike Kuriyama, he was able to avoid any failed sections, and as such, becomes the 3rd title holder in Trial E. I'm really satisfied. Obviously, it's never easy to win, even if it's not the top category in Trial GP. There's a lot of work, a lot of effort and desire, so I'm pleased. I think Trial in the future will follow this path. For me, this victory has a lot of merit because of the efforts that Yamaha put in against us. I really have enjoyed myself, not just in competition, but also in the build-up, learning the bike and understanding how it runs. It's a new challenge. But it hasn't just been a pleasure to ride. The feedback from outside has also been great. When people see me on it, they're surprised what it's capable of and how well it works within nature. So I think people need to take notice for the future. It's still a way away, but it's this journey that's been interesting so far, and there's a lot of work still to come. Albert Cabastan is the top performer on both laps of the trial to secure back-to-back victories, maintaining the Gas brand's dominance in the series and claiming the Trial E-Cup in his first attempt. Kenichi Kuriyama is runner-up for the 2nd season in a row, with Gianluca Tourneur claiming the bronze medal and putting 2 Gas riders on the podium in 2019. Trial 2's youth riders had their say last week in the Netherlands, but on more traditional outdoor trial sections, it was Matteo Grattarola who returned to the top, proving the momentum in the 2019 series is still very much with the Italian veteran. The real action here, right from the start, was a best-of-the-rest battle for the other podium places. With riders from 2nd down to 6th covered by just 7 marks, the Belgian Grand Prix provided a close-fought battle in the Trial 2 category, in which even the smallest of errors were severely punished. The action went right the way down to the last section, where Alexander Ferrer missed out on the top 5 altogether, and Francesc Moret failed in his bid for a first podium since his successful 2018 visit to Comblain or Pont. Aniol Jalabert came even closer to the podium than his fellow countryman, Moret missing out by a galling single mark, Jalabert excruciatingly falling short through tie-break. Both the Scorpa rider and championship challenger Gabriel Marseilly finished on 54 marks, Jalabert failing the deciding section when any other result would have been good enough. And Marseilly's 15 cleans to Jalabert's 13 saw him home 3rd. Despite the late damage limitation effort from Marseilly, this was still far from the ideal result for the young Spaniard. Having arrived in Belgium only 9 points back from series leader Matteo Grattarola, defeat by 2 positions at the hands of the Italian means the 5 points he painstakingly gained over the last 2 days of competition were lost in one further trial. Toby Martin's run of finishing between 2nd and 4th in every 2019 trial continues, as he recorded a runner-up ranking in the penultimate section of the day. Martin kept fiascos to a minimum, recording just 5 in 30 sections, but failed to match Matteo Grattarola's consistency in terms of cleans and had already dropped away in the latter stages of the opening lap. A 12-mark lap 1 gave Grattarola an unassailable lead, a dominant start to the day with 5 successive cleans setting the tone. He eventually amassed a mammoth 21. A pair of errors midway around the second lap at least kept the Italian on his toes, but he was never really in any danger of slipping back, as his final 17-mark winning margin proves. With his championship leading margin the largest it's been all season, it's all smiles for Grattarola, who's well on his way to a second title. Woo! A familiar look to the contenders for the top 6 places in Belgium. They're also the lead sextet in the standings, albeit in a different order. A 3-way tiebreak decides 9th position further back. It's gone well today. I'm pleased with my riding. I was at my best, riding with a good level of concentration right from the start. And from there, I was able to put in a good result, which is important for the championship. I've made back a few points with this victory, and now I head to Portugal satisfied after this excellent trial. I hope to continue on this way. With Frances Moret and Aniol Gelabert gaining on Alexander Ferrer and Toby Martin defeating Gabriel Marseilly, battles for 2nd and 4th have both closed up, but the leader is now 14 points clear. 3 wins out of 5 for Matteo Grattarola, who's showing no signs presently of the mid-season dip that almost cost him the crown in 2018. The youngsters will have to do something special to dethrone the Honda representative. With temperatures soaring above 30 degrees and the action returning to trials tradition on Comblain Pont's wooded hillsides, Trial GP Belgium was set up as a physically demanding event and one where beating the elements would truly be as challenging as tackling other competitors. Britain's youth pairing of Dan Peace and Jack Bryce finished bottom of the pile in a slightly reduced field at the Belgian Grand Prix, although neither rider was very far away from the top 10 on this occasion. In the end, it was a fiasco in the very first section of the day, when the most any other rider dropped was a single dab that cost him, proving one of 21 fiascos amassed by the Gas rider on the day. Price improved on the second lap, but had been 5 marks behind his nearest rival after 12 sections, and once 2 time penalty marks were factored in as well, he was unable to move out of the basement position. Despite recording the same number of failed sections as his compatriot Price, Dan Peace squeezed home a mark ahead of him, thanks to a marginally better performance on time. Peace had the upper hand on the opening run through the course, but started lap 2 with 27 marks from the first 30 and missed out on 11th place on countback. With a smaller entry in Belgium, Peace equals his best result of the season so far in 12th, and that, realistically, matches the ranking he will hope to hold on to in the championship against Arnaud Ferrer. Ferrer claimed 11th by 4 cleans to 3 on countback, but had actually accrued more marks in the sections than either Peace or Price around him. The Hotter Gas youngster was the only rider in Comblain to complete the trial without conceding marks on time, and his reward was to finish ahead of the 2 Brits and as such to gain back a point on Dan Peace in the championship. Dropping more marks on the second lap than the first may be the biggest frustration for Ferrer, who finished on 20 fiascos that kept him from the top 10. A mammoth 7 time penalty marks for Mikel Gelabert left the Sherco number 1 in 10th, almost certainly a relief after his 13th position in the Netherlands a week ago, but still some way short of his best. With only 5 clean sections, Gelabert recorded fewer than any of the other riders in the lead rankings, and only 1 more than Jack Bryce, who finished bottom, a result admittedly that wipes out the Spaniard's losses in the battle for 10th in the world. Frans Kadlec suffered his worst result in a consistent 2019 campaign, but still made the top 10, and despite losing points to 2 of his main rivals in Belgium, remained 7th in the championship. Gaps between the youngsters and veterans were relatively small on the opening lap, but even so, the German had been in podium contention early on. James Dable dropped to 6th in the championship standings as he failed to find the magic touch that took him to a pair of 4th places in Japan. The Brit was only 6 marks behind 4th place after the opening lap in Comblain Pont, but he put in very similar scores at the second attempt, and others around him improved, leaving him 8th on the day. For only the second time this season, he also failed to finish top beta rider, The honours there going to Benoit Bincaz by a 3-mark margin. Dable, though, was 8 marks clear of Cadillac, so comfortable inside the top 10 at round 4. After a disappointing recent run, Benoit Bincaz bounced back with his most complete performance since the season opener in Italy. 6th best second lap of anyone, the Frenchman hauled himself from obscurity on the fringes of the top 10 and up to 7th in front of his teammate. He would, though, have needed a far better first lap and greater consistency to break the top 6 for the second time in 2019. He finished 13 marks back from the lead group, and best of the rest was the most he could manage here. Bincaz is 2 places higher than he was leaving Belgium last year, so this result was another sign of progress as well as inconsistency. Jorge Casales finally looked set for his first Trial GP podium since 2015 after a brilliant first lap in Belgium, but the day slipped away from him from there, and in the end 6th was a disappointing result. Plotting his route through the course for the first time, Casales scored an impressive 33 marks, leaving him 3rd and 10 marks clear of his nearest rival behind. Had he been able to repeat those exploits, he would have left Comblain Pont with a trophy. Instead, 5 failures in the final 7 sections of the trial swung the pendulum by 20 marks and left him 10 behind the podium pace. 6th position for Casales sees the Spaniard match his result from Zelem a week ago and gain on the 2 riders ahead of him in the standings, Franz Cadillac, his most direct rival, now just 1 point clear. Jaime Busto was one of a trio of riders eventually separated by just 6 marks in the battle for 3rd. The Spaniard again frustrated in his attempt to secure a first podium of 2019 by his more experienced rivals. In the end, each of the 3 contenders finished with 11 clean sections, small margins making the difference. And with Busto, like teammate Casales, failing the final 2 sections and accruing 4 time penalty marks, it was a disappointing end to the day for the Vertigo team, who had both of their riders in podium contention and both fall short. Busto came closer thanks to a 27-mark second lap. He can at least be content with the consistency he's showing this season. Takehisa Fujinami dropped a place from 3rd in the standings, but came agonisingly close to a podium position in Belgium that would have left his ranking intact. There was never very much in it. The 2004 world champion was a single mark behind Adam Raga at the end of lap 1 and pursued him for 3rd to the finish. In the end, a sluggish start to the second lap is what cost the Montesa number 2. 10 drop marks in the first 3 sections, leaving him too much ground to recover against such a capable performer as world number 3 Raga. That said, Fujinami matched him for cleans and finished only a mark short, Raga scoring very nearly collapsing in the final 2 sections, and Fujinami was one of only 4 riders able to make it through section 15 to close out the day in style. Adam Raga put in an important damage limitation ride in Belgium, meaning that he maintains a 14-point advantage in his quest to recover world number 2 status in 2019, despite his lowest finish since the opening round of the campaign in Italy. Beaten by his silver medal rival Gironi Fajardo, who was already 25 marks clear of him at the end of the opening lap, Raga's attentions turned to fending off Fujinami and Busto, and he beat both on lap 2. 3rd place for Raga extends his run of consecutive podiums to 8, stretching back to the 2018 Belgian Grand Prix. And importantly, he loses just 2 points to Fajardo in the championship overall. Gironi Fajardo put in a superb performance in Belgium to remind everyone just how he claimed the silver medal in 2018 and to narrow the deficit between himself and the same ranking in 2019. The result could easily have been better in the context of the championship. Adam Raga saved 3rd position by a small margin. Fajardo himself was just 3 marks short of further gains in the series standings. Leading the trial at the halfway mark, Fajardo took the action to a last section decider before falling short. In reality, though, it was section 10 that proved most costly to the Gas rider, Tony Bow making up 6 marks on him there through the day. 6 marks was also the margin Bow recovered on the second lap to win the trial, but Fajardo kept him honest and came the closest anyone has in 2019 to dethroning the reigning champion, who remains at his mercurial best. A disappointing weekend in Japan means Fajardo still has plenty of work to do if he's to beat Adam Raga for second overall, but this result moves him back to third in the standings ahead of Takisa Fujinami. Tony Beau took a fourth consecutive Trial GP win when the series last rolled into Comblain Pont. That unbroken string of victories is still intact thanks to a determined second lap performance in 2019. Beau rarely trails his rivals, but even when he does, he's still a threat, despite the fact that he only led the trial for the first time 4 sections from the end of the day. Once again, the 20 championship points are in the bag as he strolls towards a 13th title. This was a more challenging victory than many, but it will rank among his best as well. The Repsol Honda man forced to grind out 19 cleans to win as he conceded the same number of fiascos as rival in Belgium Fajardo. And with a 19-point margin in the series standings, Beau is within touching distance of being able to secure the crown before the summer break and season finale. 2 close-fought battles for first and third came down to the final section in Belgium, but in each case, it was the rider defending an advantage who held on. Takisa Fujinami had only conceded 3 marks in section 15, but that was enough for Adam Raga to retain third, despite a second consecutive failure from the TRS rider to round out a challenging day. In a tense battle for victory, Gironi Fajardo kept himself in contention by completing section 15 for the first time. His 2-mark score leaving him on 36 marks, with Tony Beau on 33 still to come. But Beau avoided a failure that would have dropped him behind. His 19th clean of the day, the most impressive since no other rider cleaned the section throughout. An end result to shatter the morale of his rivals from Beau. Even on a relative off day, he was able to squeeze home to victory. A world-class performance from the top duo in an entertaining trial. A 36-mark gap to Adam Raga behind, really demonstrating the level at which both Beau and Fajardo on this occasion were operating. It was a tough trial. I never really felt good at any stage, and I felt like I was failing one section after another. It was hard to find a good feeling, but the result is a good one, and I can be pleased with that. The truth is, I'm very happy. I rode well throughout. It's just a shame that at the end, Tony pulled away. He's so strong. He never shows signs of weakness. He managed to clean in the last section when I was really happy with a 2. But anyway, he was only 3 marks away, and I'm really pleased to have been there pushing Tony to the finish and riding well.
Igualmente súper contento por haber estado allí apretando a Tony y haciendo una buena carrera, ¿no?
I didn't really put in a very good first lap. Fiascos in sections 14 and 15 left me recovering on the second lap. Gironi wasn't making mistakes, so we had to hold on really well. He put in a great ride, but in the end I was able to take the victory in the last section, and it's a brilliant result for the championship. Gironi Fajardo and Jaime Busto are the 2 main movers in the series standings, claiming 3rd and 5th from Takisa Fujinami and James Dable respectively. 5 out of 5 for Tony Beau in 2019, a 4th Belgian Grand Prix victory now leaving him 19 points clear in the series standings, with only 3 rounds remaining for his rivals to produce a miracle.